Hello and welcome. I am going to just try to check my volume. Doesn't sound great to me. Okay, so if you are just jumping on, welcome. I think some of you are static. To our astrology weekly forecast. I'm having issues with my mic, so give me a second while I try to figure it out. Okay, I think I fixed it. All right. So if you're just jumping on, say hey in the chat. Let me know you are here. And we are going to go through the forecast of the week. And I'm going to tell you guys about what we have coming up energetically. This is a very big week in the astrology. So we have some big things to talk about that are going to be probably pretty strongly felt. And I am excited to get into it. You know, one of the major things happening during this week is the lunar eclipse. So we're not going to actually, there's a whole other video on that. So you can, after this video, go watch that video to be prepared for how that eclipse is going to affect you. And I'd like to remind you that eclipses, the outcome of the eclipse, the effect on you, can happen anytime in the next 6 months. So the eclipse energies are not always felt on that exact day of the eclipse. And so that's just something to remember. Today we're going to go into the astrology of the week. We're going to talk about what to expect this week based on the energies. And then we're going to do a breakdown for every sign of the zodiac. So welcome on if you are new. Welcome back if you're returning, and I do need to just quickly test my audio. So while I'm doing that, feel free to say hey in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling right now with the current energy. Okay, so okay. Shoot. Okay. So now let's see. So now we are going to do the energy breakdown. We're going to break down. I'm going to start with the current moment. So the snapshot of what is happening right now and what you can expect for the weekend based on what is happening right now at this moment. So I'm looking at the chart for today, Saturday at 10:36 a.m. And what we have right now is what I see here is Venus conjunct Saturn coming into a sextile with Jupiter. So for all of us, this is going to show up differently, but Venus, Jupiter, sextiles mean you don't get there's a potential to get something good out of the transit, but you don't get it unless you apply effort. A sextile requires some effort. You have to do the thing of the planet or do the thing of the house that it's in your chart in order to see the benefits. So when we have Venus and Jupiter making a positive aspect like this, the biggest keyword I think of for Venus, Jupiter is going to be socializing, networking, connecting with people. Venus, Jupiter is a very much a friendly, charming, growth-oriented transit. So it can be good for love. It can be good for money. It can be good for friendships. But the difference, though, on this sextile that makes it more unique is that Saturn is right there. So, Saturn Venus is maybe, it depends on who you are. This could be something like realizing a commitment you want to make based on your values, making a financial commitment. It can be some kind of financial loss or challenge that you have to work through. It could be a challenge with friends where you have to set a boundary with someone or they're limiting you in some way. So we think of that Venus sphere of life, right? And we think of love, money, beauty, perfume, things that are pretty, flowers, things that are lovely, it's so funny. I have Saturn in an aspect to my Venus, so I always think of Venus things as like not important stuff, right? But if you're more Venusian, then makeup and beauty and perfume and the senses and feeling pleasure, those are going to be things that are more important to you. Regardless of how you feel about the sphere of Venus, having Saturn here, especially, today, yesterday, think about what was happening Thursday or Friday related to your money, your love, or your values. Realizing you need to commit to something. Realizing a certain partner isn't right for you, or realizing you have to set a boundary in a friendship or a relationship. Realizing that making a commitment to be friends with certain people. Deciding to commit to something with a friend. So you could be like booking a vacation with someone, deciding to commit to something Venusian, like making a commitment related to a wedding or related to, I don't know, flowers or something else that Venus rules, or art or beauty, like committing to doing a sculpture. I know all of you aren't doing sculptures, but you have to think of what areas of your life related to Venus are active right now. Where is beauty, love, or money really important in your life? Where is art? Venus and Pisces, art and a special gifts, special things that are precious, right? Pisces has a very otherworldly feeling. So it's like, are you selling your prized possessions? Or did you just buy something? Do you have a beautiful new vase? Are you cutting down on your spending, or did you just realize you need to? Did something happen related to that? Now, to take this further, and I actually went into this, I think, on my last week's forecast, so you could technically check that out still if you haven't already seen it, if you want to know what in your life this is going to affect based on the house, right? Because to take this a step further, you would need to think, okay, in my personal chart, what house does Venus rule? So if you are a Taurus rising or a Libra rising, this last weekend, even Thursday, Friday, Saturday, may have hit you a little bit harder on the Saturn part, right? Because Saturn is with you, your planet, the planet that rules your life. So it's like Saturn saying, nope, gotta work all weekend, gotta do some overtime. It's not ready yet. The thing you're trying to make beautiful isn't ready yet. And so on and so on. Now, let's say you're a Scorpio rising. Well, then Venus rules your 7th house of relationships. I'm circling the 12th house, but really, if you're a Scorpio rising, it might be like, okay, the relationship isn't ready yet, or we're planning a commitment, or we have to select, we have to choose a place we're going to get married, or else it's not going to happen, or this person I was dating isn't right for me. Or this person I thought I was going to date, now I know more, and they do not align with the values. Or now I have this challenge because my partner did something and now it's a pain in the ass that I have to clean up. So this is how it can change based on your rising sign. All right, that's enough about that particular transit. Let's go back to Venus-Jupiter sextile today and tomorrow. So this is going to be Saturday the 23rd and Sunday the 24th of March. For anyone tuning in later, Venus, Jupiter sextile means on Sunday, go make some friends, do something social, try to sell something if you have a business, network, meet new people, get dressed up and go out if you're single. Do something that gives that option of those social planets getting together to cause some kind of growth in your life. If your roommate has a friend over, say hello. Just be open to new connections, because Saturday and Sunday and Monday even are really, really good days to meet new people in general, regardless of what else is going on. Now, you can also look at the area of your chart that Venus and Jupiter rule to see. And what I'll do actually is we'll talk about this when we go through and we break it down for each sign. We're going to talk about this Venus sextile Jupiter. There's something else that's special about this though. Okay, there's something else that is quite special about the sextile between Venus and Jupiter. And those of you who are astrology students, I'm going to give you a second to think about what might be special about these two. Think about the signs they are in and how they are related to each other. Okay, and you can even pause the video if you need to think for another minute. But this is called a mutual reception. It's a mutual reception because it means Jupiter rules Pisces in traditional astrology, and Jupiter is in Venus's sign, Taurus. And Venus is in Jupiter's sign, Pisces. So not only is Venus exalted in Pisces, it's the best place it can be. We also have Jupiter here, making an aspect, making it even better, even though Saturn is here, making it worse. So this is why it's hard to say if a transit like this is good or bad, because we don't always know if we're going to get the best of Saturn or the worst of Saturn. So the best of Saturn, Saturday, Sunday, even Monday, for everyone is going to be commitments to things we love. Maybe being willing to sacrifice money, or being willing to sacrifice love, or being willing to sacrifice something for money or love. You know, saying I am willing to let go of this thing over here to have that thing over there. That kind of energy of like what is worth sacrificing for. And then we also have the possible Saturnian side of a loss or a challenge or a hardship. Okay, but because Venus is exalted and it's getting a help from Jupiter, even if you're having some kind of challenge here, there's a way to get through it. And what I would say in general for all of us is going to be, who do you know who can help you? Who do you know who can help you? Maybe you know someone, or you have the ability to meet someone who can assist, who can provide some knowledge or some insight, or knows someone who can help you cut through some red tape, depending on what your Venus-Jupiter challenge actually is. Okay, so overall, the takeaways for this weekend with this sextile in the sky is don't hesitate to reach out if you need help with something. You know, don't hesitate to consider, who do I know who can help me with this? And you know, you might also be the person someone else needs help from. And it feels like, I'm not saying go help everyone with anything at all, but it feels like helping others, making connections, working together this weekend, we can get more done with others than we can by ourselves. And being able to lend a helping hand on this one might be something that we end up benefiting. You know, it's nice to sometimes be the first person to help someone, because then when you need help later, they're so happy to help you. So this might go the other way, where this is a good opportunity to just help someone who helping them will somehow benefit you or come back to you down the line. Or, you know, even do something like study, you know, or do something like enjoy yourself amidst the hardship, right? So it's like, I get the image of like, you're out of money and you're on a really strict budget, but it's like you could still go to the park, you know, you could still read a book you already have, or you could still, there's a way to find beauty or to have growth within limitations this weekend. So that's another real strong keyword, is growth within limitations, or beauty. It's like the beauty of sacrifice. And the next thing I think of here is something like fasting. Now, I'm not recommending this medically or anything, but on the spiritual level, I think this, you know, Venus, Saturn in Pisces, sextile Jupiter and Taurus, could actually be something like fasting. Even though you think of Jupiter and Taurus and you think of food and eating more of it and having really rich food. But with Venus and with Saturn conjunct Venus, not eating sugar or cutting out something that is rich or luxurious is our keywords for this aspect. Now we're coming off of this aspect now, but still, it's like when you don't eat for a certain amount of time, you get closer to God. Fasting, the whole point of fasting in spiritual practices is to get closer to God, because there's something about the sacrifice, that it's not just about the physical thing that happens in the body. It's more about what happens in the spirit and the soul, right? And so how we benefit physically or sensually from restricting something spiritually, or how we benefit money-wise from restricting something that has a lot of pleasure attached to it. Now we could go into a lot of different examples, but that's the feeling I get for this weekend. So now other things about this particular time as of right now, the snapshot of the energy Saturday and what we're coming into this week. First of all, it's Aries season now. So Aries season is the change from Pisces to Aries season is a bigger deal, in my opinion, than any of the other ones, because we're coming to the end of the zodiac and we start again. So there really is that energy of new beginnings. There is that energy of it's spring. We're ready to start new things. We're ready to try stuff. We have energy. We have energy to do the things that we thought we needed to do back at New Year's, even though we did not need to do it back at New Year's. We can do it now because the energy supports changes, and it supports that sort of burst of life, that burst of not intuition, but like instinct, right? That's one of my keywords for Aries is instinct, living instinctually, just going with your gut. And that's why people with lots of Aries stuff, they're going to be really good teachers or like YouTubers or whatever, because they'll be in the moment and they'll act instinctually in the moment. And not all Aries are going to do that, but this is one of the good sides of Aries, is that they just go with what they feel, and going with what you feel, not holding back, going after something, having that rush of excitement of planning something new and kicking it off. That's all kind of the energy we get at this time. And let me know if you guys have been feeling that. Have you guys felt any kind of energy shift in the last few days related to your plans, your dreams, your goals, and like wanting to really get after it, or felt any pressure to really get after it? I would love to hear how you guys feel about that. I think with Aries season, while Mars is in Pisces though, and this segues into the next thing we're dealing with now is Mars being in Pisces. Mars in Pisces will put us in touch with our dreams, with our inspirations. And the thing about Mars in Pisces is Mars doesn't really go straight after anything when it's in Pisces, right? It's going to go like around everything, right? Like the fish does. So the way we can work with Mars in Pisces is to be willing to adjust or be willing to go with the flow when it comes to reaching our goals. It may not be, even though we have that Sun in Aries saying like, yes, new year, new us, new goals, it's spring, things are fresh. Mars in Pisces makes it feel like, but you can only do what you want to do if it's easy or if it's aligned with spirit. So it feels like a time to like move forward and take action, yes, but not a time to be very forceful or clear or direct in terms of what action you need to take. So like, I'm trying to give an example. It's just still a time to keep putting one foot forward on your path and know that you might not know where the bridge is taking you exactly. It's just letting yourself keep going, even though maybe the outcome isn't quite determined, or maybe you're not going in a straight line. Maybe you're going in more of a zigzag. I think of like the trails. If you've ever hiked a trail on a steep mountain, it's always like they call it a switchback. It's a zigzag because it's actually too steep, really, to just go straight up, right? So that's where Mars and Pisces can benefit us, because sometimes our goals are too steep to go straight up. Think of how that metaphor applies in your life. All right, so we've talked about Venus sextiling Jupiter, what that means for us Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We've talked about Aries season and Mars in Pisces, Mars ruling the sun, so it being important for that reason. Now let's go ahead and talk about the other aspect I wanted to mention in just the energy snapshot, and that's going to be, what is it? Sun sextile Pluto. Now the sun is leaving this sextile with Pluto, which means the last couple days we may have had some more thoughts about power and our own personal power and how to embrace it. More awareness of, usually it's not the limits of our personal power. Maybe it's more awareness the last few days of in what ways we can be more powerful and whether we're going to harness that or not. So, what resources we have, how we can enact our will on the world. But, I'm not saying I feel like when I say that, people are going to be like, no, that's bad. We're not supposed to do that. But we are, though, to an extent, right? The right use of the will. And so it's like make plans, but don't plan the outcome this week, because I feel like our journey as Mars travels through Pisces and we have the sun in Aries is going to inspire us, but maybe not in a way where we feel like I know exactly what to do. Okay, so if you don't feel like you know exactly what to do, that's okay. It's okay to kind of meander a little bit, okay? Not all who wander are lost. There might be still some meandering we need to do before we can kind of claim what we're up to next. Okay, so the next thing for this week that we should talk about, and I will mention, is the eclipse. And I think it's around 1 a.m. on Monday. Monday is the eclipse. This is super early in Pacific time. It's going to be like 1 a.m. Pacific time, what would that be? 2 a.m. Mountain, 3 a.m. Central, 4 a.m. Eastern. But it's Monday. So what happens now? This lunar eclipse in Libra, which has Venus conjunct Saturn. I don't like it, okay? We don't want to see eclipses being ruled by a planet that's malefic, Saturn or Mars. I'm not ruled, let me rephrase that. It doesn't, it makes it tough when the eclipse has contact with a negative planet. Saturn or Mars are the bad guys. If you want someone who tells you nothing is negative, this is not the channel for you, because we have our chips in life. Okay. What does this mean, though, having Saturn conjunct Venus for the lunar eclipse in Libra? It means we might be releasing something or making some kind of sacrifice. I think the best possibility here is making a sacrifice for something you think is beautiful, right? Venus and Pisces being very poetic, very dreamy, very like a special, very spiritual, ethereal, sometimes beautiful. But with Saturn here, it kind of doesn't feel as much that it is about beauty. It feels a lot more like it's about, what do you value the most? What is the most ultimate spiritual important thing for you personally? And what do you need to sacrifice for what you value the most? And it might be letting go of something that you thought you wanted and you don't want anymore. But with Venus sextile Jupiter, it does feel like, it feels like the metaphor of like climbing a mountain with a friend, where you're going to do something hard, but you have people doing it with you, and it's like, it's worth it. Sextiles between Taurus and Pisces, to me, are very, very sensual. They're very much about not just the security of knowing you're going to be okay, but like the little extra, right? So it's not like you get a new place. It's like you get a new place and you get a little cat and you have all these vases that are beautiful. And it's like there's something special about whatever we're sacrificing for the next 6 months. If you want more on this eclipse, watch my video on it. I go through each sign of the zodiac. So you can watch your sun, moon, and rising, and I highly recommend that. Okay. So the next thing is, what is the next thing? Let's see. We're going to talk about Wednesday and Thursday of this upcoming week. We've got Venus in another sextile, and this time it is, whoops, I did not mean to do that. Let's get our screen back. What was I doing Thursday? Well, that'll be the 28th. So this is the chart for Thursday at noon, and we've got Venus at 20 degrees, sextiling Uranus at 20 degrees. Okay, so this one is also good for making friends, good for falling in love, good for those sudden changes in love. And, you know, Venus Uranus can be kind of exciting and intoxicating. It's like people with this natally, it's like when they meet someone new, there's like a high attached to it. It's like it takes you, it has all this energy, all this charge around it. So this can be a time where you feel like you meet someone new. There's a potential to make new friends. There's a potential to have something change related to finances that's positive, to have like a sudden burst of money or a sudden income or a change to your income at this time. Now, again, we'll go through this for the signs. We'll go through this one for the signs to see, based on your rising sign, what area of life this might happen for you. It's going to be different for everyone. But we think of all the Venus significations of love, money, beauty, and anything else Venus rules, like flowers and perfume and, you know, sweets like rich food and like things that feel physically good, right? Massage oil and, you know, just like things that make you feel luxurious. Whatever luxury means to you. I feel like I do a lot of examples for the women watching, but like if you're a guy, it could be the best tools you've ever had or whatever it is you feel like luxury means to you in your interests and what you're into. Okay, so it's like an expensive gift could come along at this time, a change to your income, a deposit, of money that was unexpected. You get your tax refund back. You could meet someone new or have a great conversation with someone who you already know or who is new, and it's like just you feel so alive leaving that conversation. Sometimes Venus Uranus aspects tend to have a little bit of stress attached to them because I'm gonna sneeze. Oh my God, that was probably so loud. Okay, so Venus, Uranus can have stress attached to it because it's like that sudden feeling like you got to do something. Now, because this is happening in a sextile, it's not as likely that we're going to feel that way. But sometimes, you know, you can actually just watch Venus, Uranus transits and see, I would say watch all Uranus transits to see how they affect you personally. If you are the kind of person who has stress build up and then, you know, had hit a breaking point and then it builds up and hits a breaking point, that is a very, very common manifestation of Uranus in the natal chart, actually. And so what that means is if you are someone who usually has that experience of like stress builds up and it hits a breaking point, it's possible that at this time there's a breaking point, but it feels even feels more like it would be a positive experience of like, I hit a breaking point and then I just had to do something positive or a positive release of energy, right? Where it's like, you met your crush for like the 27th time and finally you're like, I really think you're cute or whatever it is. I'm not saying go do that, you know, because I don't know everyone's experiences, but there can be some kind of release related to tension when it comes to relationships, attraction, flirtation, or friendship. You know, there can be, sometimes Venus Uranus can be when you get in a little fight with your friend or something, but it being a sextile makes it more feel like a positive thing. So changes to our friendships, changes to our money that are probably for our benefit, to benefit our security, changes to our love and the beauty in our life, the ability to enjoy a sunset suddenly. It's like suddenly it's a beautiful day. You're like, let's go watch the sunset. That's a perfect example of Venus sextile Uranus, especially with Jupiter there, making Jupiter bigger. Jupiter making the experience bigger, Jupiter adding to it. So it's like some of you, who knows, could get pay attention to what happens Thursday or Friday and see what benefits you, what good thing comes along, and be willing to be a little spontaneous on this day, especially if it's something you want. And especially if you're the kind of person that tends to say, oh, no, we'll do it later. There might be something happening today that there's a potential for something positive that you can't do later. It's now or never. All right. Thank you everyone in the chat for keeping everyone updated. All right. So let me see. I think we're ready to go on to the signs for the week, you guys. So before we do that, I kind of want to give you guys a few little announcements. One is that if you join my email list, I'm raffling off a 20-minute video reading. I decided I'm going to draw the winner next Saturday. So that's the 30th. So if you are on my email list by the 30th of March, you will be one of the people entered to win. I'm not going to do this again for a while. So just know that if you want to get in on it, it's now or never. I mean, that sounds really dramatic, but it's fine. Do it if you want to. It's cool. And then, okay, and then what else did I want to tell you? My readings are open. My schedule is open for April. You can book a private reading with me. There are a lot of times on my schedule that book up quickly. So especially if you're wanting an early morning on Saturday, or if you're in Europe, I recommend booking as soon as possible because those times get booked up really fast. Everybody wants those, and I don't have that many. That's going to be this Thursday and Friday, Nebula, for the times that we need to act on something, in the moment. The dates are going to be the 28th and 29th for that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the signs, and I'm going to get our chart on for this week for Aries. And let me see what we're going to talk about. I have to actually put notes so I don't miss things. For each sign, we're going to go through the moment now, and we'll go through the Venus sextiling Jupiter. We'll talk about Mars and Pisces. That'll be throughout the week and longer, and we'll talk about Venus sextile Uranus. We're skipping the eclipse because I have a whole nother video on that. So I'd rather give you more here, and then you can go watch that one as well. Okay. So let's get our chart up to now, and let's get it on to Aries. And then I'll say hello to you guys who are here live. Okay, so okay, sorry, let me get my timer here. I'll be ready. I love doing these, you guys. Okay, so we have, let's see what everyone's saying here. Anne, hello from France. Hello from Vegas. Josh, hello. It looks like Mel is here. Hi, Mel. PB, just getting here. Welcome. Shauna, hello. I think you got your question answered. Wild Turkey. I'm not going to read the rest of your name. Welcome on. Nebula, hello. And Chris, hello. I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, so again, welcome to everyone jumping on. And where we're at right now is we're just starting with the weekly forecast. And we're going to go ahead with Aries. So for Aries, we'll start with the Venus sextile Jupiter happening right now. So Venus in your 12th house, sextiling Jupiter in your second house. So overcoming subconscious fears can help you make money. And, sometimes, I hate this, but sometimes when your money planet goes through that 12th house, there can be some kind of financial loss. Now, the best case scenario is like, you're spending the money and you wanted to, and you're okay with letting it go. And it's like that. But I've had times myself where I bought stuff and I thought it was going to be so great and it wasn't, right? So that can be how the money is lost here, is you make a bad investment. I'm not saying everyone should not spend money. Just think about your situation. If you're trying to buy something big right now, just make sure it really is going to do the thing you think it's going to do. Make sure that big screen TV is really going to plug into all your stuff and that you don't end up not being able to use it or something. This happened to me. I bought this iPhone during this transit where my money planet was going through the 12th house, and I thought my videos are going to be so much better. It turns out I can't really use the feature very well. It's not built for that, even though it's supposed to be. So that's just an example. There can be other stuff too. So just, don't make sure what you're buying is good. And, that's usually how that goes. There still feels like for Aries, there's some kind of, again, possibility for financial growth, especially since, when Jupiter hits Uranus in April, this is going to be in your money house. So what are you sacrificing at this point that maybe is going to prepare you for that? And are you overcoming your subconscious fear of having money? Is there something that you're afraid of when it comes to money that you just can't put your finger on? That would be very classic of Saturn in the 12th house. So this might be a time, today, Saturday the 23rd, Sunday the 24th, Monday, of doing something in isolation or working behind the scenes somehow that it has the potential to make you some money. Now, some of you are going to already know what that is, but it's like very strong indicator that doing some work in private or doing some work where, again, it's behind the scenes, your 10th ruler in that 12th house causes a change or potential growth in your finances. Now, that could be because of some kind of financial hardship you're dealing with that you have to go behind the scenes and fix, or it can be more of like, no, I'm just making the sacrifice right now. Okay, so the next thing for Aries is Mars in Pisces. So Mars in that 12th house, that's you. You're here exploring the subconscious mind right now. And it's also your 8th house of psychology, trust, very much spiritual stuff going on. This can be learning the rules of like occult stuff, or it could be talking to your spirit guides. It could be just having more downtime. Again, working behind the scenes, having more privacy, having more time to think your thoughts. And it could also be that time to think your thoughts makes you realize you got some thoughts. You know what I mean? So it's like sometime it can, like, what do I say? Sometimes it can, when you have too much downtime, it's like you realize what the problems are, kind of a thing. Although Mars being in the 12th house for some Aries can have to do with places of isolation, like hospitals or, prisons or jail. And it doesn't mean you're going to jail. I mean, some of you could be, but most of you aren't going to jail unless maybe you're going to visit a relative or something, right? Or I don't know, maybe just doing something, again, doing something in isolation, either for the purpose of growing spiritually during this time, or taking more time to figure out what your subconscious reasons for doing things are, getting into some kind of therapy or some kind of, process, especially with Saturn here. It's almost like a process that helps stabilize, leading you deeper into your own subconscious mind, but it's like Saturn, so it's some kind of dependable process. I think of things like DBT, or like even something like what's it called with the eye movement? What's it called? I can't think of what it's called. There's a certain therapy that they do this. Is it EMDR? Something like that. Anyway, not all of you are doing that stuff, but the keywords here are stabilizing, using processes that help you understand or dive more deeply into your subconscious mind. Other keywords are working in isolation, working behind the scenes, especially with Saturn here being the ruler of your work, your 10th house of work, which will later, not yet, but which will later hit Saturn there, and probably really, so it's almost like Aries might be coming into a time where they know they're going to have a big push towards something they're working on that now you're building up to. And then the last thing for Aries is Venus sextile Uranus. This is going to be later in the week, right? Thursday, Friday. So we'll just see if we can go to those days. Let's go to Thursday. Wait, that's wrong. Wrong week. Yeah, so Venus here at 20, sextile Uranus at 20 on Thursday brings maybe some awareness of subconscious things that helps you make money, or awareness of what needs to change related to finances. Now, all the things we said about Venus, Uranus, meeting people, have sudden changes, that kind of thing also applies, but for you, it's very, very much a money transit. Why? Because Venus rules your money house and Uranus is in the money house. So it's like a change to your money from some kind of loss, some kind of subconscious thing. Maybe you recover from a loss or something, Aries. And also we can consider relationships, a change to relationships as well. It doesn't mean, this is a sextile, it doesn't mean you're going to suddenly get married or suddenly have a partner. But it's almost like you could suddenly realize something about relationships. You could suddenly realize that your partner spent a bunch of your money and you didn't want them to. You could suddenly realize that this person, you realize who they really are, and maybe it's a disappointment, but there's also potential to go connect with someone new. Maybe you realize you like a new kind of person that you didn't like before. Maybe you have a crush on someone and it's a secret because it's not appropriate, and you don't want to pursue it. So I'm going to stop there for Aries. Always let me know, you guys, in the comments how these resonate. Okay. Going on now to our next sign, which is going to be Taurus. And I need to go back to now. And let's see here. Let's get it on to Taurus. What? Okay. All right. Okay, so we are on Taurus now, and I'm setting our timer. And we have starting the week off with Venus sextile Jupiter. So Venus is in your 11th house of friends and acquaintances, public life, other people. Jupiter in that first house of your identity, your life. So more than anyone else, Taurus, on this one, I would say this is a great, great time this weekend to make friends, to connect with people, especially when it comes to Saturn stuff, which for you, Saturn rules your 9th house of the meaning of life and like philosophy, spiritual beliefs, go into like really good weekend to like go to a class where they're teaching some kind of spiritual thing, you're learning about it, or do it online or something. And then with Saturn ruling the 10th house as well, it can also be your work is more public, your work involves other people or is more public. You're taking on some kind of commitment in a group, or you're dealing with people and your work is relating to that, or responsibilities related to a group. So this could be your work, but it could be something like if you're in some kind of club and you like become the person who hosts the meeting and like opens and has a key or something, right? So it can be that kind of thing as well. It doesn't have to be for your work, but it is really a possible connection, because the 11th house is like, 11th house is also money we make from the work we do. And you have Venus with Saturn here. So there could also be some kind of hold up in the money you make at this time. Or you might be holding yourself back from spending on something, or you might be investing into a course. You might be putting a chunk of money into something and making that commitment to like a course or a group thing of any kind. So this can be like, if you have your own business, you join like a community networking thing, right? Or like, if you want to learn astrology, you start, you like go to the astrology class or something like that. But whatever you're committing to this weekend, it feels like it has the potential to cause growth in your life. Sometimes growth is like getting a new job or moving or something big. But with a sextile like this, it's more of our everyday, week to week kind of growth. Like you found a course that teaches the exact thing you want to learn next, or something along those lines, where it's like a little growth, a smaller, everyday kind of a win, or kind of a next step in your evolution, whatever that means. And because Jupiter's in Taurus, it might have to do with your security and stability, but it may also have to do with something a little bit dreamier or more creative or poetic or something like that, with Venus there in Pisces. It might be something too where like you go to an event, but you're not the one speaking, like going to slam poetry and you're just listening, right? And it's like you're just receiving it. You're not necessarily producing something, but it still makes you feel like growth when you do something you really like that's fun. Okay, so that's that one. Now we're going to talk about Mars being in Pisces for Aries season for you Taurus, because Mars in Pisces here, Mars rules for you your 12th house, and it also rules your 7th house of relationships. So, the relationships being in the 11th house here kind of feels like if you're a Taurus who's single, this could be a time where you have more potential to meet people. If you're a Taurus that's with someone, it's almost like you might be dealing with their friends more, or their family, or their other acquaintances. You might be going to a work party with them or something, where your connection with them leads to connections with other people. And again, if you're single, though, it could also be a friend who your connection with a friend leads to connections with other people, or takes you, out to do something fun or new or creative or poetic or inspiring. All right. Okay, so that's Mars and Pisces. And so we're going to see this the whole week, right? Mars being in Pisces, allowing us to really mingle. It's like mingling with people is what I feel like for Taurus this week. Just go mingle. And I don't even think you have to go do it. It'll just be happening, right? And as far as feeling like you want to go after your hopes and dreams this week, don't expect clarity on that at this moment, especially for you Taurus, because Mars is going through that 11th house. Some Tauruses, you might just be busy or going out to parties and stuff and having fun, or doing things that are more social in that sense, or even online events with other people. Now, the last thing we want to talk about here is happening Thursday, and we have Venus sextiling Uranus. So now let's put it back onto Taurus. So we have the chart up for Thursday for Taurus here. Venus at 20 degrees, Uranus at 20 degrees. Venus in that 11th house of friends, Uranus in the first house of self. Meaning your friends can help you change your identity. Or you might meet someone around Thursday or Friday, or have an experience with a group of people that makes you realize you have changed your identity and helps you solidify that. Helps you solidify and it's not even solidify, because Uranus doesn't solidify, it changes. So it's almost like, let's say you're a Taurus and you've been wanting to teach people about essential oils. Now just fill this in with whatever makes sense for you. Then you do this essential oil class and it goes amazing. This is the moment where you realize, hey, I can do this. That is the feeling and the metaphor I get with Venus sextile Uranus here. Now with Saturn here, it might be like, but now I have so many orders, I have to go fulfill them all and it's too much to do. Okay, so it could be that. But there's something else kind of special about this, which is Mars will be on Fomalhaut, which is like a very poetic fixed star. So at this time, I would say also your spiritual life might be enlivened, or you might find that you can like go into other worlds in meditation more so than before. This would be a time I would think Taurus is maybe having that experience of going past areas that have held you back. So like if you always wanted a lucid dream, good time to Thursday especially, good time to try it again, because it feels like you can go further into other worlds than in the past. So we're going to go on now to our next sign, which is going to be Geminis. All right. So we have Geminis here. Let's see, we're going to start with now. Okay, so right now we've got Venus about to sextile Jupiter, Venus in that 10th, Jupiter in the 12th. So having Venus in the 10th does bring more like art or dreaminess or creativity or flow into that 10th house of work, but Saturn's also here saying you got to do the work or putting limits on it. So it's almost like, especially the last couple of days, have you been structuring your flow? Have you been finding it harder to flow or easier to flow, or putting limits on it in some way, setting a timer or something like that, or your daily schedule, putting limits on it in that way? It does feel like from now, for the next month or so, while Mars is in Pisces, we've got more activity in that 10th house. So this could be working more, doing some overtime. It could be doing more work that actually gets your name out there in some way, becoming something that's more visible, right? Because you have your 6th house ruler of work in that 10th house. This could be at your job where people are really seeing your work a little bit more. It could be in your business or your side hustle or whatever, where there's just more to be done. But also with that 5th ruler conjunct Saturn in the last couple days, this could either be something that kind of slowed something down in the business, or especially like slowed something down to stabilize, if that makes sense. Now, with that sextile to Jupiter in the 12th, it means your spirit guides or prayer or spiritual beliefs or meditating and staying calm, grounding yourself is going to help you deal with whatever limits you're having in career, whatever responsibilities you're having to step up to, as Saturn in that 10th will bring you more responsibilities, and Mars is going to stimulate that. So you could be asked to do more work. You could be doing more for your own business or other things that you have the potential to be known as, your public life. There could just be more to do, to be done. And it does feel, oftentimes when Saturn's up here in the 10th, it does feel like this is the time to say yes to those things, because that 2.5-year period is where Saturn is at its best in terms of the chart. And so that means your ability to fulfill your responsibilities related to work and your public life is at its culmination, it's at its highest. All right, so then we have Mars being in Pisces for this whole Aries season. Mars ruling your 11th house of friends and hopes and dreams. Also ruling, again, your 6th house of work. So work becomes more public, your hopes and dreams become more public, or your hopes and dreams become more something you're taking action on, and it's action that someone, if they saw your life, they would see it. It's not the behind the scenes stuff, it's the in front of the crowd stuff. So if you're an artist, this could be selling the art, right? Where you are seen at the booth, at the fair, or whatever it is. If you are doing something else, it can be taking those steps in the real world and real life, getting it out in front of people. And then, with Saturn, Venus, committing to something related to something you enjoy in your work. And it feels like the last few days, maybe the joy was sucked out of it a little bit. If that's the case, that's just Saturn and Venus connecting, and that will pass. What else do we see here? Let me see what, I don't love the moon making contact with Venus and Saturn today for you, because that's your money planet. And this is an aspect that really does signify losing money or having less money. So it could be today for Geminis, you have something you're spending on, or it could be something you want to spend on, but it just feels like whatever hit this takes to your wallet, you're going to feel it. But again, Jupiter helps. So Jupiter in the 12th is you have to look to see how maybe, really one of the ways to work with this, look to see how God might be behind this. Look to see how spirit or your guides might be guiding you, and ask them to help you. You'll get it. When Jupiter's in the 12th, you'll get it. And with Uranus here, it might surprise you how. So now we're going to go on to the Thursday aspect here for you, which is going to be that Thursday, Friday, the 28th, 29th, even the 30th a little bit. We're going to see this Venus at 20, sextile Uranus at 20. Venus in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus. So for Geminis, Venus ruling your 5th house of pleasure, it could be also have to do with your kids. Some of you, your kids just have a sudden change to their life. If you have kids, if you don't have kids, Venus can be your self-employment, your creativity. So this is a good day to get creatively inspired. It's also a good day to take some kind of action on making yourself known in your business, especially if what you do is creative in any way, because Mars is on full Mulhat. Mars is on a fixed star. Mars, the planet of action, on a fixed star that represents poetry, creativity, this dance with the universe. So on Saturday, some of you are naturally going to be doing something that lines up with this. But if you're not Gemini, I would say this is a good day to take action related to your career, related to also what brings you joy, because it feels like the thing that brings you joy, you could either be seen doing it in some capacity, or it can just be, it becomes more public. So I'm going to use another painter example. So let's say you're a painter. Maybe this is a day when you go somewhere in public and you paint and people watch you, kind of a thing. It could be like that. I know a lot of you aren't painters, so fill that in with what makes sense for you. Also, keep in mind this is your 12th house ruler in mutual reception with your 10th house ruler. What that means is work and spiritual life combine or help each other. Okay, spiritual work is highlighted, but using spiritual tools to get ahead in work, or connecting with spiritual people, or for some people, maybe it's that 12th house might be people in recovery, especially if you're in recovery. So doing some kind of event related to the keyword of recovery, or rehabilitation. And, that can be rehab in a lot of ways. It doesn't have to be just going to a treatment for substance use. It could be anything that the word rehabilitation could be used for. And somehow that connecting with work. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next sign. Geminis, let me know how that lands for you. I always love hearing from you guys. Okay. I'm going to the next sign. Which is Cancers. All right, Cancer, let's go ahead and talk about you guys. We're going to go back to right now. Venus in the ninth, sextiling Jupiter in the 11th. So, that ninth house being all about the quest and, either learning something new or wanting to travel. Venus rules for you your fourth house of home. And it also rules your 11th house of friends. So this could literally be like your friends or your family went on a trip and you didn't get to go. Or it could be something totally different, right? It could be family values and your upbringing is informing your next steps in what you want to learn or study. You could have just made a commitment to studying something new. And that sextile to Jupiter is like maybe you're taking a class with a friend. Maybe you are going out and doing some things with friends, and it's helping your spiritual life, or it's helping you get through a challenging time faith-wise. It could be something like that, because Saturn there kind of does mean there's some kind of challenge here. And with Venus ruling your 11th, maybe it's slowing down the process to the hope and dream you have now. But with Jupiter here, it's almost like you can grow within the slowdown. It's almost like, let's say you don't get into a certain course you want to take. Just to fill this in with whatever fits for you, Cancer. But let's say you don't get into a certain course you want to take, but you still use the time. You still just go buy the book and you learn the thing anyway, right? So it's like, or let's say you don't have your car for a few days and you just walk. But it's like there's something good that happens on the walk that wouldn't have happened if you didn't have the slowdown. Or there's something good that happens when you buy the book instead of doing the course, that by going slowly allows you to integrate it more deeply or have some kind of growth to either your friend circle, your network, or growth with friends in some way. All right, so the next thing for Cancer is going to talk about Mars going through Pisces. So Mars rules for Cancers your 10th house of career. It also your 5th house of fun, dating, flirting, pleasure, kids. So for some of you, your kids are doing 9th house stuff, right? If you have kids and you're a Cancer, maybe they're learning something, maybe they're going on a trip or learning another language or studying the law or doing other 9th house stuff. For those without kids, this can be taking your business, if you have a business, and getting all the legal ducks in a row and trying to figure that out, and maybe not having a clear path to how to do that yet. If you don't have a business, this can be your creative passion, right? Your creative passion is you're doing something that makes it bigger, or going on a quest with it, or like learning more about the thing you love the most. This could also be your partner, or like flirtation, right? So if you're single, this can be that you are going to flirt with people from other countries, or you have more focus on like meaning and fulfillment through relationships, through flirtation, or through the people that you're meeting that you're like are potentials. If you're a Cancer rising or sun, moon, or moon who is in a relationship, there's still the potential that the fun dating side of that somehow becomes more fluid, less planned, more not spontaneous like that, but more go with the flow, or unsure, or has a meandering vibe to it. Okay, but all in all, I would say this transit might be more about how to, I feel like when it comes to your creative potency, Mars in Pisces isn't going to be quite as strong at this time. So it means that if you're like, I want to make this happen, it's like you might have to go with the flow or do a little dance with the universe around the thing, right? Because like Pisces are the fish that keep swimming, right? And so it's like you're going to go around that thing a few times before it happens. Now, let me know if that makes any sense at all, Cancers. Sometimes, because these are general, it's just some of it is going to resonate more than others. But with your 10th ruler in the 9th, there's a potential for work to be more meaningful at this time, to travel for work, to have your work lead to 9th house stuff, which is dealing with the law, dealing with traveling, dealing with learning more about a specific topic. These are all things we can see this week, but also going into April while Mars goes through Pisces. So the next thing for today, for this forecast, is going to be Thursday when we have Venus sextiling Uranus. Now, there is an eclipse on Monday. There's a whole other video on that if you want to get in on that. But what we have for Venus sextile Uranus for Cancers is going to be maybe something enjoyable when it comes to what you're learning or what you're studying, or, ninth house being sort of like the part of us that wants to go out of our comfort zone, that wants to leave our little neighborhood, going on a trip, whether it's a physical trip to another place or whether it is a trip in the mind of learning something new and really loving that knowledge that you just got, right? And it could be because of something that was happening around now. So think about what was happening Thursday, Friday, Saturday that restricted this or made it feel difficult or challenging, especially when it comes to your friends or when it comes to your family of origin, or your family unit, or your home. So now what's freed up that was challenging the week before? What sudden change or sudden inspiration or sudden bit of help from a friend or sudden knowledge is going to open things up a little bit to allow more meaning or more connection? That's what I feel for Cancers. So we're going to go on now to our next sign, which is going to be Leos. Cancers, let me know how that lands. I always love hearing from you. Okay. All right, I have to get to where we are. What's today? Leos. Okay, Leos, let's see here. Let's start your timer. So we have Venus in the 8th house, sextile Jupiter in the 10th house. So Venus in the 8th for you is going to have to do with your 3rd house's siblings, and it's also going to do with your 10th house of work. So when Venus is in the 8th for Leos, it's like your work might actually become a little more private, or it might be what you're doing with your work or your role in life is you're supporting others more, because that 8th house is like where you influence someone else to like overcome their fears, right? Or like you influence someone else and the outcome of that influence is like no one knows it was you who did it. So things like therapy, things like counseling, things like just anything where you're like building someone up and you really see them for who they are and you bring ease and joy to their life through through helping them psychologically, right? People don't see that. People don't see when someone's doing really well in life that they had a best friend who was right there with them to support them when they were struggling, or that they had a sponsor during that time, or that they had a good partner who was like so with them. So you might be the good partner that's so with someone right now, but it could also cause career growth. Now, this could go the other way, where growing in your career either allows you to get closer to someone, requires you to get closer to someone, requires you to take out a loan, or requires you to do something that is more about the financial side of that 8th house. It could be like you're growing in your career and you need to invest in something. You need to invest in having someone else do stuff for you, Leo, or you need to invest in something to keep that growth up. It could also be a sibling commitment with a sibling related to finances. So some of you Leos might be taking a loan out with a sibling, or having hopefully not, but some of you, maybe if someone recently passed, maybe you have a sibling that you're having to deal with, siblings or cousins or aunts and uncles. that it's about like, oh, we have to delay the things so they can have time to meet or something. Some of you, it might have to do with that, like how money from an already existing inheritance or trust is getting doled out. That could happen. What else? Let me think. Okay, so let me think of the possibilities here. Trusting someone, trusted relationships lead to career growth. Career growth leads to trusted relationships. Those are the two biggest keywords. And it might be like this is a good time to meet people who you consider working with on a more intimate level, or maybe you've already made some kind of contract with someone who you're going to get closer to, or you've already gotten a little bit closer to. Okay, so now let's talk about Mars going through Pisces for Leos. Mars for Leos, it's going to rule your 4th house of home and family, and also your 9th house of the meaning of life, and it's going through the 8th house where it's getting a total transformation. So I don't think this means Leos are going to like have a bunch of more kids or something, but it's like your home might be changing. You might be like foreclosing on a house, or like refinancing is what I was thinking when I said that. God, I don't know that stuff very well because I've never bought a house. But dealing with the financial side and the interest and the bank and the other people that possibly could be connected with a house, it could be your parents' house and your siblings are involved somehow. But for other Leos, if that doesn't resonate, the 9th house of meaning goes into the 8th house. So it's like, this is your bubble. Okay, this is your bubble of like what life means right now. Mars in the 8th house goes like this, and it just like expands the bubble of not just what you're able to handle like physically, but more what you're able to believe in. It's like what you're able to believe in expands. The capacity to believe in something is greater, and it gets like expanded. That's facing fears related to God and to spiritual stuff, that kind of thing. All right. Now we have one more thing for Leo to talk about. That's Venus on Thursday will sextile Uranus. So Venus in the 8th, Uranus in the 10th. Again, something about friends, or, Venus in the 8th really for Leos can be money from a trust, or money from interest, or money from someone who passed away a while ago, who now it's, I wouldn't say this would be the moment where it gets released. For some, maybe. But there's something unexpected that might happen related to that if that's already going on. If that's not going on already, it's probably not that. It's probably going to be maybe a sudden change to your sibling that has some effect on your work, a sudden change to your car that has some effect on your work, or a sudden change to your work that has an effect on your work. I mean, yeah, so I would think this is a good time if you're trying to like grow something, that maybe you get a growth spurt in your career or in your 10th house of your public life. That's kind of what I feel for Leos, but maybe that growth spurt somehow involves more contracts or like more intermeshed energy with other people. Let me know if that resonates, Leos. I always love hearing from you, and we're going to go on now to Virgos. All right, let's get back to today, and then I'll just do this. Okay, so for Virgos, we have Venus in the 7th, sextile Jupiter in the 9th. Maybe something this could be, okay, let me think. Venus in the 7th can be a friend or a significant other. Okay, so either like a friend maybe you've been friends with for a while, or like a significant other who, if you're in a relationship, that kind of thing. Something about a connection here can lead to growth in your 9th house of travel, foreign languages, the meaning of life, the law, lots of possibilities. So if you're a Virgo who wants to travel, maybe you meet someone who wants to go with you or something along those lines. It feels like, let's consider the fact that Venus is your money planet. Jupiter sextile Venus means there is some kind of potential in the sky right now for you to make more money if you apply effort. That is like being poetic, being dreamy, being sensual, and being practical. So this could be by being a resource to other people. You can gain more money this weekend. It can also be, you can have more, I think of enjoying your things, right? So like maybe you have, like me, a vase that's sitting in a box that you haven't opened yet or something like that. And there's just something that goes on this weekend that gives you the chance, or you just take the chance to enjoy your environment a little bit more. And somehow by doing that, it makes life feel more meaningful. Now, I'm not saying that Virgos out here are like sitting there going, oh, if only I had a vase, that's going to make my life complete. But things do feel better when you surround yourself with positive things. It's almost like setting a scene or setting a vibe in your relationship can bring more positivity and make you feel more like connected. It could also go the other way. Reading a spiritual book, uncovering a spiritual truth, studying something that is grounding and soothing to you could be a basis for connection. But it could also be a basis for disconnection in a positive way for Virgos. It could be you've been dating someone and you realize they don't believe in God and you don't want to date them. Or you're dating someone and you realize they think astrology is crazy. And you're like, oh, you're not the right partner. Or something else like that, where a limitation related to values causes a need to reduce that energy out of your life. But even in doing that, it's still growth, right? Because when you get rid of the thing that's not aligned with the values, it opens you up to the thing that is. It's a good weekend to socialize, even with Saturn here. It's possible some Virgos could meet someone who wants to marry you, or you could get proposed to, although that's not going to be everyone. That might be a very small percentage of people. It could also be that financially there's some kind of limitation, but that overcoming that limitation leads to growth and makes you feel like more growth is possible in some way. And so let's talk about Mars going through Pisces for Virgo and what that means. Mars ruling the third house of siblings in your car, but also ruling the eighth house of transformation, going through the seventh house. Going with the flow in relationships could cause personal growth at this time. Having fears come up in relationship, but then kind of dealing with them can also lead to some growth. The third house and the seventh, some of this can be really everyday stuff, like your car, you're driving your partner around in your car, or they're driving you around in their car, or you guys are making some trips or something. Mars in the seventh can make little fights in relationships happen, like little spats and conflicts. If you're coupled, you might fight with your partner a little bit more this month. And if you are single, you might fight with your friends a little bit more, or just the other people in your life. There might be more conflicts with them. But even if that's the case, because it's in Pisces, it feels like we're going to go around the conflict. We're not going to deal with it specifically. Although I do think when Mars hits Saturn, there might be something more serious going on. That could be a serious commitment to something. It could be a debt thing happening, or something like that, or a serious investment being made. That could also be how that goes. That won't be this week. We'll cover that in a future episode. So let's look at what's happening on Thursday. On Thursday, we've got Venus, and it shows it's at 21 here, but it'll be Venus sextiling Uranus. So Venus in the 7th in Pisces, sextiling Uranus in the 9th in Taurus. Again, Venus rules your money and it rules the meaning of life. So this Uranus in the ninth, making aspect to Venus in the seventh, is like a moment where you just suddenly realize the beauty of relationships, or you suddenly realize you're right where you need to be, or you suddenly realize love is possible for you, or maybe it's possible some of you might suddenly realize something more challenging related to love, right? But I would see this as more of an insight, especially with that 12th ruler in the 8th, the sun illuminating psychological things at this time of year, coming into contact with that north node, not quite there yet. This could be something like, I'm just going to give a random example, fill it in with what makes sense to you. Like you just are in a therapy session and you realize that you've always felt a certain way, and you just connect with the moment in childhood where that started, and you have more insight and awareness of how you always block love, or, something like that, where it's illuminated to you your own patterns of disconnecting from friendships. And if that is the case, it feels like it's more of a healing moment where it's like, okay, now that I know this, I can do something about it. But this may not be everyone. Venus, Uranus like this still does feel like there's a potential to have some kind of sudden insight when you're reading something or listening to something, and that could be coming through a friend. Or it could go the other way where you're the one who is the friend giving the sudden insight to somebody else. But either way, it feels good. It feels good, and it probably brings some kind of connection to the universe, especially in an area that felt disconnected. Now, if on, Friday the 22nd or somewhere around then, you lost some money, this might be the idea you have to solve it, or when the money comes back or something. And this could also be a good transit, a good little money transit for you. Okay, so we are going to go to our next sign, which is going to be Libra. All right. Okay, I have it on there. Our timer is set. For Libras, we have Venus in the 6th house, sextiling Jupiter in that 8th house. So making friends and connecting with others can help with getting something difficult accomplished. This could be something, you have a lot of chores right now. It could be working overtime. It could be working on some kind of labor of love that is for your job or for your own business, or just something that is not money related but is time related, right? So spending time on an art project with your kids, spending time redecorating your house. That's really highlighted, actually. And it's like Jupiter in the 8th could be something related to either spending the money to do it, like spending the money to buy the paint and stuff, or it could also have to do with, let me think. 8th house, 6th house, let me think. Almost like learning how to trade stocks or something, learning some kind of skill related to investing or psychic work or the occult. So like some of you might be doing a mediumship course, or like training in something like that. And others of you, it might be like training in finances and like interest and compound interest and all this stuff that you would need to know to manage other people's money. Now, if that doesn't apply, it could be managing your partner's money, but something is lost, but there's still some kind of potential to grow through meeting someone who can sort of help you psychologically. It could be like a therapist helps you deal with a recent loss of some kind. Now, that loss might not be someone passed away. It might be a hardship of any kind, right? Like, it could be anything. Like you're upset because your partner who has custody of the kids just dumped the kid on you, and now we're going to have fun that week and you can't. It could be more day-to-day loss that you're getting some kind of support, either from like someone who has a a role similar to a therapist or a counselor or a friend who has like a mentoring role and can like talk to you about the psychological side of it, or maybe even some kind of spirit guide. Like maybe you're going straight to your tarot deck and being like, okay, how do I get all this done? Or like, how do I deal with whatever Saturn and Venus here is stressing, right? Because that could be, Venus is you. You're in Pisces, so that's nice, a nice place for you to be. But it's with Saturn kind of restricting that. So it's like, this can be you just having a lot of chores, again, having a lot of work to be done, having time constraints, and maybe even feeling in the last few days, right? So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the 23rd, feeling like I can't do everything. I can't do everything I have to do that's on my plate. And that Jupiter in the 8th could just be like, why did I just get the word fairy godmother, almost like a fairy godmother that you send a wish to, and I don't know what's going to happen here, but there's some kind of potential of like connecting with the other side, connecting with occult practices or something psychological that helps you get through whatever challenge is happening with your time, how you're spending your time, or how you're spending your time and your money. Like this could also be a bigger thing for Libras, where it's about where your time is just getting sucked away versus where your time is being invested into something that's actually going to sustain you. And this could be a time where you're really seeing the way your time gets, it's almost like if you are doing one-on-one work and that's all you're doing, and this is a moment, a aha moment where you're like, I got to change this if I want to scale, something like that. All right. So let's see what else for Libras. Let's talk about Mars being in Pisces for this whole week and beyond. So for Libras, Mars is ruling your 7th house of relationships, and it also is going to rule your 2nd house of money. So the money planet in the 6th house kind of does mean, one, you could be investing your money into 6th house things. So that would be things like supplements, or things for your health, like doctor's appointments. It could be, especially your like female health, if you're a woman, hormones and stuff. If you're a male, it could also be like the health of your partner that you're investing in, or health that is bad because of stress from a woman. That's one possibility. But either way, it could be health, but it could also be investing into, again, your time. Like investing into other like some Libras might be investing into getting people beneath you, like hiring people that are under you who you can have them do stuff. Some of you maybe are investing in buying a planner or purchasing things to help manage your time, or investing in something that if you save a certain amount of time, you'll be able to make more money, kind of a thing. But sometimes with Saturn in the 6th, you're just busy. Okay, you're just busier. You have more to do. Saturn in the 6th also has that signification. So having both of them here, this is probably a busy time in life for Libras. And you might be busy taking your kids to school, or you might be busy doing some kind of work that is for your job, or you might be busy doing work that's like more of a devotion and a labor of love, a commitment to a craft. So there's also a potential to be of service at this time. So it might be like you have relatives staying with you and you're doing more dishes right now, or something like that, where that's where that busy energy sort of comes from. Either way, there's more to be done during this time. And the last thing we want to talk about for Libras is this Thursday, when we have Venus sextiling Uranus. So Venus there in that 6th house, sextiling Uranus up in the 8th. Again, Venus-Uranus can always be a sudden change to something. It can also be a bit of a breaking point where you're like, all right, you guys have to do your own dishes now. I'm not doing them anymore. And it's something like that. But it could also be, let me think. It can be an opening of a psychic ability here. And it might not be like, the life-defining moment, but it might be like you get something intuitive from your tarot cards for the first time, or some other little breakthrough when it comes to doing spiritual work or doing psychic work, or some other breakthrough when it comes to working with other people's money. Almost like you tell someone to invest in something and they do, and they get like a positive outcome. Or you teach someone something about money and then they learn it and they do it. And they get results, and as a result of that, you realize you have a skill. It doesn't feel like the day that you get famous for it. It feels like the day that there's a breakthrough with some kind of skill or ability. Now, this could also be with a subordinate, right? With somebody who works under you, or a coworker of some kind, where maybe their skill becomes a breakthrough for you because now you've unlocked more of a skill of having someone else do something. There's still going to be work to be done, though. But it does feel like it could also be new friend or something positive related to your social life at this time, Libra. So we're going to stop there for Libras, and we will go on to our next sign, which is going to be our Scorpios. Okay. So for Scorpios, for the week of March 23rd, we're starting off with Venus in your 5th house, sextiling Uranus in the 7th. So, let me see here. I gotta set the timer. Okay. So we have something related to pleasure. And okay, so this is really good for like relationships in general, because it's 7th and 5th are relationship houses. If you're in a relationship, this might be a time where you can meet someone new, or you can have conversations about it, or something that feels like growth within the relationship related to a commitment. The classic example here is going to be, are we going steady? Can we be exclusive? So some of you are making your partnership exclusive at this time. Others of you might be dealing with some kind of problem with the partner, maybe withholding intimacy or something along those lines. And today might be a day to find some solutions, Saturday and Sunday, about at least trying to have the conversation or create some kind of positive outcome here. It could also be a good day for a date, you know? So Scorpios might be, it's just like a good vibe here with Taurus and Pisces of like enjoying the senses. Now, Saturn's here, so there could be challenges with that as well. It's like the date, but it was slower. Maybe it didn't happen a few days ago, and now it happens. For those of you who are already in a relationship, good time to enjoy a little rest and relaxation with your partner, really soothing things. And for those of you who maybe that's not on the radar at this time, the 5th house can also be your kids. So it could be that one of your kids got in trouble, or your spouse had to punish one of your kids, or you had to punish them recently, or they got punished for something. And then also they're still going to grow, you know, or like maybe they're studying for a big test that they want to pass, or something in your kid's life that relates to restriction for the possibility of growing long term. If you don't have kids, the 5th house is also your pleasure, your fun, your life force, your potency, right? So it's like your ability to act on your environment and be yourself. And with Venus sextile Jupiter, it could just be like a nice game night where you have friends over and you're laughing and having fun and being yourself. So overall, this one is good for everyone, for making friends and connecting with people. For you in particular, it's going to show up the most in dating and relationships. So now let's talk about Mars going through Pisces for you. This is going to be Mars being your 6th house ruler in the 5th house, bringing more focus, more work focus on self-expression, creativity, writing, speaking, being poetic, or being imaginative. Now that's probably not going to apply equally to everyone. Consider what kind of job you have. if your job is like not imaginative at all, this could be you spending time outside of work, doing creative stuff, writing songs, playing music, going to concerts or going to open mics or just whatever it is you like to do, Scorpio, that makes sense as far as how you would enjoy yourself. The fifth house, I mean, Mars in the fifth house usually stimulates your love life a little bit. It usually stimulates your desire to have fun. So it's like you're busy having fun. So I like that for you, Scorpios. And you could also be busy, doing things where it's like kind of more on the emotional side, right? Since Mars is in Pisces, again, having fun, enjoying the arts or enjoying creativity or like watching the best movie ever or something else like that. So the next thing for Scorpios, we're going to look at Thursday and we're going to see how that shows up with that Venus sextiling Uranus. Don't forget the eclipse video. It's a separate one. So Monday's eclipse, you can watch that video for your sun, moon, and rising too. So we have Venus here. On this one, it's showing at 21, but when it's at 20, that's going to be the sextile. That'll just be earlier on Thursday. So again, good. This is good for love. It's good for relationships. It's good for meeting new people. It's good for making friends. It's good for so much. But Venus also rules your 12th house of the subconscious mind and is coming into the 5th house with Uranus. So this is like a sudden idea that you don't know where it comes from related to 5th house things like love, money, creativity. Now think about what thing you do that's creative, right? So, if you're an author, maybe you get an idea for a book. If you, work at, if you work at like, if you do some kind of spiritual work, maybe you get an idea for how you can work differently with clients. The 7th house can also be clients. So you could have a really good client that brings you joy on this day, or you can get some sudden inspiration of how to help clients go further from their subconscious mind, or you could heal something on the subconscious level that kind of unlocks a greater amount of personal power. Maybe you are more expressive and fun in a consultation or in a client session, and then you realize, oh, hey, that could be cool all the time. I can actually do that. I didn't know I could do that. So it does feel like moving beyond the limits of what you thought you were capable of in some way that relates to other people and relates to either art or beauty or things that are grounding and soothing. So I think that's a good place to stop for Scorpios, and we'll go on to our next sign, which is going to be Sagittarius's. Let me check the comments here. Robin's here. Hello. All right. So again, we're going to our Sagittarius's, and let me see here. I have to get the chart on the right place here. Okay, there we go. That's going to be, okay, hold on. Okay, well, this is technically on Sunday, late tonight on Sunday, but it's still going to showcase the Venus-Jupiter sextile we've got. So Sagittarius's, you've got Venus in the 4th house sextiling Jupiter in the 6th. This is almost like cleaning your house feels good. And maybe something happened in the last few days that made you realize how much you need to get it in order or consolidate or let go of things. You could have even just taken some stuff and gotten rid of it the last few days, or pared down a little bit in terms of beauty, or gotten rid of some excess or something, or decided you want your home to look more beautiful and minimalized it a little bit or something. But here on Saturday and into Sunday, we have the potential of doing some kind of work from home, or doing work that somehow brings you more security in your home. So that could be trying to like save up money, like doing work that directly relates to saving money for a deposit or something. But it could also be chores around the house, like cleaning your gutters, or like, even though it doesn't quite feel like that, actually. It feels more like getting a room all set up so that you can like study in it, or like getting a room all cleaned up so that you can like just be in it and enjoy the view before you can, it's like cleaning the windows so you can enjoy the view. This is a metaphor I have for Sagittariuses for like Saturday the 23rd, Sunday the 24th, and maybe even into Monday the 25th, where it's about cleaning and clearing something, expanding or growing in your sixth house of your daily habits and your chores. It doesn't have to be cleaning, but it could be. It could also be other ways that you could grow in your daily habits. Waking up earlier, going to bed at a good time, eating good food. Now, some of you, it could be like you have people over and they have dinner and it's like a nice time. For others, it could be more, it might be more work, but if it's more work, it's like more work that you love, that gives you more of a stable foundation or makes you feel emotionally fulfilled. So it's like doing work you love for the purpose of like grounding and being like, this is what I do, or something along those lines. Again, this is really going to depend. So we have working on something that has to do with spending more time on something that can bring joy or ease or peace to the home or to the emotional body. Okay, so now Mars going through that fourth house for Sagittarius, you might be busier at home during this time. That again might also go with cleaning the windows, doing chores, like doing things around the house or even your bedroom, right? That fourth house is your bedroom. And it's like, I don't know, I almost said being busier in bed. This is not what I meant. Not what I meant. I mean, like, I don't know, getting new sheets and like changing the sheets, like being busier, dealing with your bed or taking care of your bed or getting a new bed frame or, cleaning out all the drawers or reorganizing your room or your rooms in your house. Again, to make it more peaceful, to make it flow more, to make it more aesthetically beautiful. Other things that Mars in the fourth can do is stimulate you to do other fourth house stuff, like talk to your parents, deal with something related to your parents, deal with real estate in general, deal with your own emotions, okay? The fourth house is how we feel about ourselves when we're by ourselves. Mars here, it's possible some of you could feel a little more frustrated, but with all this Pisces, it doesn't actually come across that way to me. It comes across this way to me more like you're just meandering about the house a little bit more. You got your bathrobe on and you just went and did some dishes and now you're going to go, there's like this meandering around, go sit by the pool, that kind of feeling. Now, stimulating your fourth house could also be you being motivated to journal or to do some kind of therapeutic process, or to consciously bring energy to the daily habits that you have to like overcome your fears and how you feel on a day-to-day basis. So I think of journaling because that's the one that I do, but you might have different ones. It might be like going back to a meditation, that when you're doing it, you feel like you're your most emotionally solid and best. It might be investing in some kind of support that is helpful to you to deal with how you feel. It could also be you just enjoying life more. I mean, you could just be enjoying life more the next couple days with Venus and Jupiter, and it's just like, look at that view. I'm going to enjoy my time. I'm going to spend a few more minutes sitting and looking out this window that's just gorgeous and looking at the view and just not even worry for a minute. It could be more peace happening. Even though Mars is all bringing up energy, it's what kind of energy? Fourth house energy of like your emotional foundation. So that might be more of a focus or something you're like, I am going to go on this hike because I know it's going to make me feel good when I get to the top and I see the beautiful thing. Or I am going to go to the library and read because I like reading there, or whatever it is you like to do, fill it in with what makes sense for you. So now for Sagittarius, let's look at Thursday. Keep in mind that for the eclipse, the lunar eclipse on Monday, there's a whole video just for that. So now we have Thursday for Sagittarius where we got Venus sextiling Uranus. For you, Venus rules your 11th house of friends, and it also is going to rule your 6th house of work. So work, friends, home, and work. All like work, friends, home, and your time all have the potential to be working together. So this could be a sudden change to your health habits or a sudden change to your work hours or a sudden change to your position at work or your duties at work. Bring more, I mean, I don't think it brings more friends. I think it brings more emotional peace. It's almost like some of you Sages maybe got a raise and now you're feeling better. Some of you, though, it might have more to do with, again, having friends over and making changes to getting the dining room all set up, a sudden change where you take the table. I think of like those dining room tables where they pull apart and become bigger. It's like you put all the leaves in the middle of the table because you've got a big group of people coming over. It could be that. It could also be you have a little more ease or time to think about your hopes and dreams because of a sudden change. And it might not be a hard sudden change as a sextile. So a soft sudden change to how you spend your time every day. It can be that. It can be reassessing and not being sure with Venus coming into contact with Neptune, not being sure what you're going to do about this hope and dream that you thought you were going to do, but now things have changed and it's like reassessing what that is, but from a grounded and I feel positive place, Sag. So let me know if that resonated and we will move on to our next sign, which is going to be Capricorns. All right. So for our Capricorns, and I also just want to say a shout out to all the people who leave timestamps on these videos. I do come back and do them, but when you guys leave them, it really does help me because then I can just grab that timestamp when I'm putting them in there. So thank you to all of you who do that all the time. That is so nice of you. Let's get the chart on Capricorns here. Oh wait, let's go backward here. See if going backward is better. Yes, it is. All right, so we have Capricorns up here. I'm going to set our timer for Capricorns. And we are looking at today, which is Saturday the 23rd. We're looking at Venus sextile Jupiter. Venus in the 3rd house, sextile Jupiter in the 5th house. For Capricorn, this is about communicating and connecting with others using your words or listening to others, especially having Venus make contact with Saturn just a couple days ago. Yesterday was, I think, the exact conjunction or the day before. So Thursday, you can think about what was happening Thursday related to a relationship, related to your self-expression or one of your kids if you have them, or your business. What slowed down or was an obstacle or was a bit of a challenge here? And now what's possible that can make that better using communication, talking it out or somehow connecting with someone, listening to them. How can listening to someone make your business grow more? Or just maybe Capricorns on Saturday are going to go listen to music and you're going to enjoy it. Or maybe you're going to go somewhere where people are up on stage talking and doing comedy or something, and you're going to enjoy that speech. It can be something like that. But there's also the potential here with Venus ruling your 10th house and Jupiter being the ruler of, let's see what Jupiter rules, your 3rd house and your 12th house. Let me think here. That it does feel like there is a potential for some kind of growth related to work, but it's almost like you'll have to be busier in order to do it. And with Mars in the 3rd, it can make you busy, especially running errands and stuff. So sometimes you have more to take care of, more errands to run, and you're driving more places, or something happens to your car and like now you have to Uber. So it's a little more exertion or a little bit more work it takes to get places. Sometimes that can happen when Mars is in the 3rd. Other things for Mars going through here is going to be, it's your 4th house ruler in the 3rd. So talking about feelings might be highlighted, or dealing with feelings, putting them down on paper might be highlighted. It could also be something more tangible, right? Like your family of origin, your parents, are driving more, right? Like sometimes it's like you're taking your family to more places around. This would be third house stuff. So it's like going to the soccer game. It's spring, right? You're going to more soccer games. You're going to baseball games. You're going to swimming practice or swimming lessons or something like that. But it could be you being like, nope, it's just me and myself doing that. But you're probably going to be driving more, and that does feel like it's a theme for this time is more driving. Maybe good, maybe bad, I don't know. But let me think of something else Mars might be doing here, because I feel like there's something else we could see with that fourth ruler and the third being bringing that home, the topic of home, into the third house of driving. So who knows, maybe some Capricorns are like taking some kind of RV trip during this time, during the next month or so, or something else like that, where it's going on a little adventure, blending the topics of home and your travel, your day-to-day travel. It could go the other way though, where like you're ordering in more, but it doesn't feel like that as much to me. What else? Let me think. You could study more also at this time while Mars goes through your third. It just kind of brings activity to that third house. So your siblings could have stuff going on in their life if their lives are very close to your lives. But if not, then it's probably going to be you like reading some new books, making some commitments to study. The commitment might come later when Mars hits Saturn, but that's what I see for that. Now, let's look at Thursday for you guys and see that sextile happening between Venus and Uranus. We've got Venus in that third, Uranus in the fifth. Maybe some good idea here. A great conversation with a friend, a good idea for your work life and how to do the marketing in your business. A good idea for a new business comes along, or you do something that's like, you're like, I'm ready to start that new business. I'm ready to start doing this thing. I'm ready to start marketing for it. I'm ready to start having the conversation, or I just made a website, now I'm publishing it, right? It could be some kind of sudden event connected to your public life through words or communication. And that sudden event, it probably isn't like, with a sextile, it's not going to be life-changing sudden. It's going to be, that's the moment we turn on the website. That's the moment we published the YouTube video. That's the moment that album was complete, or something else like that. And let's see what else. Yeah, and also, this is the moment I was flirting with someone. This is the moment, if you're in a relationship, this is good for just like passion and sort of like the tension and just like the flirting side of it. If you're single, this might be a good time to flirt, or it might be a moment where it's like, okay, you were flirting and then this is when you met the person, or this is when you asked them out or they asked you out, or this was the first date kind of a thing on Thursday, Friday. Good time for dating, for talking to potential dates, if that's what you're trying to do. Now, if you're not like trying to do any of that right now, and that area of life is just kind of not having a lot of movement, this can also just be a really lovely conversation. And so it's a good day to have conversations. But again, that sudden change, that intensity, that shift could also be showing up for you when it comes to work, or when it comes to buying a new car or something. That's a possibility. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. That's up to you. But these are the things I see possible for Capricorn this week. And remember, the eclipse video, that one's separate. So if you want to know what is going on for you Monday for the lunar eclipse, go watch that video next. Okay, back to today, and we're going to Aquariuses. We've got two more signs coming up. We've got Aquarius, and then we got Pisces. Okay, so let's see if we can just do it. There we go. All right. I'm setting the timer for Aquarius, and here we go. Excuse me. We have Venus in the second house of money. with Saturn and sextiling Jupiter in the 4th house of home. So Venus for you also is going to rule your 9th house of the meaning of life and your 4th house of home. So definitely possible that you could be, if you are an Aquarius who's trying to buy a house or trying to save for a house or trying to find the right house to invest in or something, this might be a time where there's possibilities coming up there, 2nd house, 4th house. But this could also deal with things like like getting rid of your stuff to make more space in the home, getting rid of a piece of furniture or something big to really free up some space in your home. Okay, that's the first thing I think of here. Also, you can think what was happening like Thursday, Friday, when it comes to what were you committing to related to your studies, or what did you do at home or related to home on that day. So this could be something like, let me think, something like, I don't know, something got broken at your house and you had to clean it up, or some kind of removal of an object in the home. Or it could also be more on the emotional side, where Thursday, Friday, if they were rough days emotionally, just know that that's because your planet of the meaning of life was hitting Saturn, which Saturn just restricts that. So if you really did feel like, oh, life was less meaningful in the last couple days, and really it was that passing, those passing feelings, as Venus separates from Saturn, you're gonna have, that will fade. That should fade if that aspect is the reason. Now, potential growth here in the 4th house is like enjoying your time with your loved ones. Almost like you turned off social media and now you have more, you can enjoy the fireplace, or like something like that, where there's a restriction of something leads to more enjoyment of your home or your emotional life. So you could be restricting yourself from doing things that make you unhappy. And it's like, yeah, it did suck that the power went out, but I just chilled and it was actually really lovely. Okay. Now that's kind of an extreme example, but fit that into whatever, you will already know what this was building up to from Thursday and Friday. Now, another keyword of Saturn Venus being the 4th house ruler, is going to be almost like you had flowers on the table and they died, right? Or like something where it's actually on the emotional side, right? Our emotional well-being feels threatened or feels like it's sad, right? It's depressed, it's down, it's repressed, right? So repressing emotions the last few days because you have to for some reason. Now those emotions have the chance to come out. It's almost like you had your mother-in-law over and you couldn't talk about how you felt. And then now she's gone. Let me know, Aquarius, what that is a metaphor for in your life right now as of Saturday. Saturday, there's potential to grow in your, I wouldn't say like finance going on fire, like growing like that, because it feels more like maybe some kind of loss or setback or freeze of your account, or like financial slowness is leading you to speed up in how you make money or what you're doing to make money. But that there's still a potential to like either work with other people to have it happen, or to be working in private, or to be, calling some friends and seeing how they would solve this problem. And there's still some kind of growth that can happen within this challenge. And then Mars in the 2nd house, that's not going to be everyone, but Mars in the 2nd house can be you're driving more for work. You could be busier thinking about money or trying to make money. You could be hustling at this time, because that's kind of the signification of Mars in the 2nd. You make, the more you work, the more you make. The more you hustle, the more you make. And so the good news is if you hustle, right, you can make money. That's not a guarantee, but it's more likely that your actions to make you money will increase during this time for everyone who is Aquarius. Or you will have to work overtime, or you will make money from the work you do. Okay, it is possible this could be a good transit for you. Why? Because it's the 10th ruler in the second house. Your work is giving you money, okay? But it might be commission or something like that where, yeah, your work is giving you money, but you got to work your ass off for it. And I'm a little concerned about what might happen when Mars hits Saturn. There may be some more of a challenge, but we'll talk about that in a future video. So the next thing for Aquarius is going to be the Venus-Uranus, and that's going to be on Thursday. So now we have some kind of freedom or some kind of opening here based on money in the home, but it could just be you make a new friend, right? It could be that. It could be you learn a new spiritual study, right? Spiritual, astrology, occult, deep, meaningful, religious kind of practices that have rules, like magic or like Hermeticism or Stoicism or something, like an actual organized system of belief of any kind could be changing for you. So this is like a possible change to how you believe about money, or something you learn that maybe helps you, something you learn spiritually that you can apply to your finances or your home. Doing some kind of spiritual work at home helps you enjoy the money you have or spend the money you have. There is a potential with Mars here to overspend a little on anything, really. But maybe it feels like something is a little bit freed up and a little bit more open at this time. But I feel this is true for everyone. I feel for anyone making money on Thursday, we have to understand that Mars is going to pass Saturn. I don't actually know. Never mind. Forget I said that. This feels like it's whatever is happening Thursday. It may not be like, oh, you won the lottery. It might just be like, oh, you got a raise or something else like that. That's a little more of an everyday kind of change to your finances. For most people, this will be good. But look, Saturn's here. So it's like maybe you make money and then you go pay a bill. Even though that might feel like a downside, isn't that better than not having the money to pay the bill? Right? So that's kind of how I feel about that for Aquarius, is especially because Venus is in that money house. But it's exalted, right? So there still might be something that ends up being better overall because of Venus's contact with these positive planets this week. It might be like now you are saving to buy a house and you can't spend the money, Saturn in the second, but Mars in the second, you're working for it and you're doing the work that it takes to reach a goal. So that's what I have for Aquarius, is very much an everyday mundane transit about like taking the next steps this week. And all right, so then going on now to last but never least are Pisces. You guys know I love you, and we're just gonna get to, whoops, I'm doing this wrong, hold on. We need hours. There we go. We're on Pisces now. So we're going to start here for Pisces on today. And, I'm seeing Haley. You can still go back and watch Aries. You just have to find it somewhere in the live. I did like a general in the beginning. All right. So a couple of announcements before we do Pisces. One is if you want to be entered to possibly win a 20-minute reading from me, you can join my email list. I'm going to draw the winner on the 30th of Saturday, the 30th of March. I'm not going to do another one after this, at least not as of right now. So you can enter by getting on my list. There's a link in the description to do that. 2, readings are open for April. So if you want to get a reading with me this month, There are some times on my schedule that tend to book up kind of quickly. So especially if you want Saturday morning Pacific time, I don't have a lot of those. I don't have a lot of mornings. So check those out if you want to do that. All right, now on to our, and the last announcement is there is a full video on the lunar eclipse in Libra happening March 25th. You should definitely watch that for your sun, moon, and rising sign after this video, as it is going to tell you so much about what's going to be coming in the next 6 months. But on to now for Pisces. We have Venus in your first house, sextile Jupiter in your third house. So Venus in the first with that Saturn conjunction might be some little slowdown of the things you enjoy in your life. What could that be? It could be you could just feel a little bit less beautiful the last couple days, and if that's the case, it's going to pass because Venus is going to go beyond Saturn. But if it's not that, there can be some other things here, right? Because we have Venus ruling your 8th house of like taxes and debt and stuff. And then we have Venus also ruling your 3rd house of siblings and your car and your kind of, it's sort of like stuff you have to do in the 3rd house as well. It's like the errands you have to run, the trips you make every day. So you may have just been driving slower the last couple days. You may have stopped along the way somewhere and just noticed a beautiful view. You could have been like me, and on my way driving here, I just couldn't stop looking at how beautiful the mountains were. It can be something like that where your 3rd house of what you're doing every day is literally slowing down, or it's like you spend more time in one place and then it's like you're not going as many places, or the places you're going, you're spending more time at. Let's see if I can get anything more interesting out of this, though. We have Venus in the first tends to be like the desire to enjoy your life or beautify yourself. Saturn in the first tends to be commitments. So it's like, for some of you, maybe you've just started to do something new that's going to beautify yourself. Maybe you bought a teeth whitening kit, or like you decided I'm gonna book an appointment to get my hair done, or something else along those lines. Some of you maybe have been thinking about going on a diet or losing weight or cutting out sweets, and that being a part of your identity. Others of you might be Saturn hitting the 8th ruler might have something to do with paying off debt, and in the first house it's just like a bigger thing that affects your life more. Okay, so that sextiling over to Jupiter is like communication. Communicating or learning can help you overcome this current challenge or obstacle in life. How you say things in the right way, or saying the right things to people, or saying things that are delivering bad news in a really nice way might help you somehow in your next steps in life, getting where you want to be, reaching your goals. And also just communicating well might help you be heard, right? It might help you be heard. Now, again, going back to this 8th ruler with Saturn, this makes me feel like getting closer to certain people, or finding out that certain friends, especially friends who are like acquaintances, people you see through work, people who you see in public, people who may not be the closest friends. They might be acquaintances or someone you know through someone else, or through a place in the community you go to. They're not necessarily your best buddies. You might realize some of those people need to be cut out, or there's a disconnect or an ending to a connection with a certain acquaintance. This doesn't feel life-changing, but it does feel related to values. Maybe you hear some shit, maybe some people are talking shit, and you find out the real situation of certain people and why you would not want to be close to those people. Okay, so you could hear a rumor, you could be informed about something, and it's like the information might not be good, but it's going to lead to some kind of positivity, right? Like if you find out someone you've been talking to is really scamming people, then you're going to know not to give them your credit card info, or something along those lines, where some kind of information or communication is revealing the bad side of a connection or an investment or even a significant other, you know? But overall, I think Venus Saturn sometimes is like clarifying your values through realizing something is not what you want, right? This person doesn't have a beautiful soul. They're a liar. Or that, you know, some of you too, if you have roommates or neighbors and they're an active part of your life, it could also be some kind of challenge with, or, you know, it could even be like a good growth in a connection with a neighbor or a sibling leads to, again, some kind of information that is sort of restricts your closeness with someone. So again, imagine how that might show up. Well, maybe your roommate tells you this other roommate is stealing and doing all this stuff, and you're like, okay, we're not going to be best friends anymore. Again, I'll lock my door and won't leave my wallet out. Or it might not be stealing, right? It might be you find out something negative about someone that breaks trust. Okay, trust is broken. Maybe some of you, the other person doesn't trust you for some reason. And also, this could also be a positive where acquaintances actually become closer because you've got your 11th house ruler next to the 8th house ruler. So it's almost like acquaintances become closer, and that becomes more of an identity shift. Like, now I'm friends with this person I wasn't before. So there can be that sort of the commitment, the ability to go, okay, I can trust this person. Now I know that could be happening for Pisces as well here on Saturday and Sunday. Now let's talk about Mars in Pisces for you guys. Mars in the first house makes you busier. Okay, so you're just getting more done. You have more to do, more work to do, more places to go, more. It might be also more physically busy because the first house is your body. Your body is moving more. Why? Maybe because you're working out. Maybe because you're literally after work, you got to go to another work, or you've started doing martial arts, or, you know, a million other reasons why your body is moving more right now. Maybe because you want to and you're lifting weights or something. So it can be any of those things. And Mars for you, Pisces, rules your second house of money. So you could also be investing some money into yourself. Now, not everyone's going to be spending a bunch of money on themselves, but with Venus here, it makes me feel like some Pisces might be investing money into beautifying yourself in ways that you don't feel beautiful, right? Especially if Thursday, Friday, the 21st and 22nd, there was something coming up that made you feel ugly or, you know, not good looking, or just like you're not pleased with this, or you feel like you're aging too much or something. And now it's like, okay, I found this mask that makes me look younger or something. But you could be spending money on facials, right? If you feel like you look older or you want to look younger. You could be spending money on, I don't know what else. Like, it could also be like spending money on something where you do move your body more, like investing in an app that's like you do all these yoga at home. But it doesn't actually feel like that as much for me for most of you guys. For most of you guys, Mars might stimulate your desire to get moving with your life direction right now, because Saturn has been here in the first house, making things feel a little bit slower and heavier and giving you more responsibility. And some of that responsibility has probably been for good reasons. But Mars is going to be here, and now the potential to feel frustrated that you're not going fast is stronger while Mars is going through Pisces, and it's going to feel stronger once Mars hits Saturn. That's not going to be this week, but it is going to be sort of approaching this feeling of like, I want to go fast, but I have to go slow. So I don't think this is a bad thing for Pisces. I think you can just do more slowly. Does that make sense? So like, it doesn't feel like Pisces have to speed up, but it feels like you can do more at the pace that you can do it, or that you're more inspired to do what you can do within the slow period that you have, or within the lack of time that you have, or within whatever it is, whatever the constraint that Saturn is causing in your life. Mars says, well, let's if you have to work all the time, let's work on our lunch break, or let's do something on our lunch break, or let's get up early and do something, or let's spend a few hours after work doing something, right? Whatever that constraint Saturn is bringing, Mars is saying, let's work within this to do something while we're here and invest in something and get something done. And so you can also feel more inspired related to your money. Again, you could want to spend more on yourself, on your clothes, on your image, on your branding if you have a business, things that represent how you come across to other people. And that could be anything from like getting facials to whitening your teeth to, I don't know, it may not be for all of you like that though, right? And for some of you, it might be like, well, if I'm an artist, I want to look like one and I want to have this thing. Or if I'm into astrology, I want to have one of those, crystal necklaces or, something like that where you're spending on yourself, but it has to do with the identity you want to come across as. Okay, so the other thing we want to do here is look at Thursday for Pisces. So we want to look at what's happening here when Venus sextiles Uranus. So that's going to be Thursday the 28th and Friday the 29th of this week. We're going to see that it goes exact on Thursday. So maybe even Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Some kind of change to your finances, some kind of change to your appearance, some kind of change to your, 8th house can be a lot of things. 8th house ruler in the first could be like, some of you might be coming out as something 8th house related, like coming out as someone who reads tarot, or coming out, like, that's what I mean by coming out. I mean, like, publicly making it known suddenly that something 8th house related. You dated a certain person, you're in a certain amount of debt, or, I mean, I don't even like this now that I'm thinking about it. It could also be you feel suddenly like I am my 8th house, right? Because the planets that go in the first house make you feel like I am this thing. I am this person's partner. I am my job. But the 8th house is like the debt that you have, the money that you owe, the money owed to you, money tied up with other people that's like, it's not from your boss. It's like other people have to do with it, business partners and stuff, your stocks, how much you've invested, how much you have in your, retirement accounts, anything like that. So that could become more of a forefront of something that you feel like either you identify as, or something that you feel like is a strong part of your identity at this moment of time. You just took out a loan. Your loan just became to be paid back. You now have the money to pay off your debt. And you're like, yes, now the money's there. Or something along those lines that have to do with those entanglements, especially financial ones, and you moving to a new level of independence, but having to release some kind of level of dependence from the past, or being able to pay something back, or someone suddenly gives you some money. I mean, 8th ruler in the first could also be a gift of money that was unexpected, that came from insurance or something. Some of you could have like some insurance rebate or something happening, or it could be from another person in your life, a significant other person. It could be a parent, it could be a lover, or, spouse or someone. But it does feel like it has to do with other people somehow, or insurance or something like that. Now, what's Venus doing to Uranus? Well, Uranus rules your 12th house of the subconscious mind. It's in the 3rd house, off and on bringing up, your subconscious urges to say certain things, or helping you see how the way you hear things is based on the past and not necessarily the present. Like you always feel like someone's treating you a certain way when they're saying a thing, and you realize that's from how your parents treated you, and getting clear, having those sudden epiphanies on that. Venus making that easier. So it is possible that during Thursday and Friday, Pisces could also have a realization about how you hear things, especially, and how some of that might not be from what's happening now. Some of that might be old stuff. And Pluto's there in that 12th house saying, let's bring it up and see it and look at it and get authentic to ourselves with what we have to look at here. And with Venus here, though, it feels like this is still going to have a healing effect or possibility to have some therapeutic value, something that gives you an ability to kind of go, okay, now I know this thing that I didn't see before, and I can incorporate that into my identity and identify as the person who is now healed from that or overcoming that or something like that. Another 8th house signification is your psychological fears, and they're in that 1st house. That could be that you're having conversations with people about this stuff and that it's like, it's getting out, it's getting out of you. It's not like staying there in the subconscious either. So I do see this as a time for Pisces of really moving toward and striving toward a level of independence in a positive way, right? Like feeling like if it's going to happen in my life, I'm going to create it, like being the creator, especially of your finances right now. So I'm going to check on these comments. Oh yeah, okay. So we have some feedback here. Mel is saying getting screwed in business. Okay. Just eliminated companies that were scammers. Natalie's saying, yes, I just got eyelash extensions and my nails done. Are you guys all Pisces? This is great. Josh says, I will beautify myself, though it's hard. It's hard to get more beautiful than you already are. It must be tough. Yeah, okay. So I think that's all the comments here. All right, everyone. So for anyone just jumping on, we have covered the forecast, the astrology forecast for the week. Keep in mind, I kind of just focus in on the things that I think are going to be most valuable to the masses and that I think I can explain the best. So know that it doesn't cover everything happening every second. On this one in particular, I did not cover the eclipse. That's going to be covered. The video is already out, so you can go watch the eclipse video now for the lunar eclipse in Libra and see what is being released in your life on Monday and how all the other planets play into that story and how that's going to affect you for the next 6 months. You can also get on my email list, and you will be entered for a chance to win a 20-minute video astrology with me on the 30th. I will pull that. I'll draw the name for that randomly. There's no system. I'm just going to pick someone. And also, my schedule is open for April, so if you want to book a reading with me, you can. And that is all I have for you, beautiful souls. I hope you enjoy your week. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for everyone who puts timestamps, and welcome to anyone who's just joining us here. Thank you to everyone who's coming back, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.